What's up, guys, and welcome to the lands of Alaire. I'm Ian, the Dungeon Master, and I'm joined here by my two friends, Tori and Aaron of Joined by Gaming, my younger brother Tyler, our good friend Scott, and my older brother TJ. Let's jump right on into the recap, get into the adventure. So, last we left off, our heroes, Erlon, Melee, Leander, Zsszr, and Gilroy, had saved the head of the High Council of Sumedia, Baranor, who was imprisoned by a greater devil on the plain of Eastgard. Together, they journeyed back to the Elvish portal from which they had entered the plane. Baranor inquired as to how Alaire had changed since his leaving, finding that much has stayed the same, and yet much is different. The coasts of Elenvir may seem familiar to him. However, Farinwell has swelled into a mighty empire, and recent shifts in the leadership of the northern kingdoms were brought up as matters of great importance. Baranor pondered on the news and the nature of his journey. Finally, stepping through the portal, our party was transported back to Alaire, and Baranor and Mosatrius, High Priest of Torm, finally reunited. Mosatrius explained that he had dutifully maintained the portal, awaiting Baranor's return, and further vouched for the party's honor and good intentions. Mosatrius gave his blessings to the party, and Leander in particular, offering a token of friendship in the form of a silver sword. With that, our party was free to explore the city of Sumedia and enjoy their time in Elenvir, for a day or two at least. Melee received a strange message from a seer in the streets. Leander and Arena and Clara and Zsszr took the afternoon to wander a beautiful garden filled with statues depicting all manner of strange creatures, as well as figures from Elenvir's history. Erlon and Gilroy found themselves in a cramped shop, legging lots, fine staves, cloaks, enchanted items, and other oddities. The shop was staffed by a seemingly disinterested half-elf woman, Alaire Legenlot, who had inherited the shop from her father, an adventurer of decades prior. Our party pervaded her display of powerful magical items and purchased some useful rings, robes, and more. Gilroy made a particularly grand purchase, buying a new Staff of Flame. Upon leaving the shop, our party was stopped by Baranor, who had gathered the remaining scattered members and had them in tow. Baranor informed the party that they had suspicions the High Council would not particularly heed their call for help. However, he, Mosatrius, and the High Priestess of Tyr, Alaire, had gathered in the temple to speak in secret and offer whatever help they may. Our party journeyed to the temple, meeting with the trio of High Elves in the light of the evening. Alaire introduced herself and looked over Clara expectantly. Together, they pontificated on the nature of the Aasimar and what her purpose may be, and how it is, without doubt, closely intertwined with the fate of Alaire at large. The trio explained Elenvir's alliance with Mythica, the lost city of magic, and its leader, Lexorian Pale, which lasted many centuries. However, over time, their attention turned towards Farinwell, and the relationship between the city of magic and Elenvir was all but severed. Just before Mythica disappeared off the maps, Lexorian Pale visited the High Priests one last time. Shrouding his face, he offered them a mysterious gift, a fragile circlet of intertwined silver and gold bands, engraved with a message in Elvish runes. For our dearest Clara, we love you more than you will ever realize. Somehow, Clara's past and the mage Lexorian Pale are connected, and many mysteries of her origin and purpose may be revealed through finding the lost wizard. The High Elves offered whatever resources they had in this pursuit, and wisely counseled the party to seek out the masters of Gilroy's College, now Theron's School of the Arcane, who may have some indication of where to begin the search. At that very moment, the windows of the temple were smashed in from all sides, elvish assassins dressed in dark leathers, brandishing curved iron daggers in every direction. They pointed out Clara, but pronounced Zsszr their ultimate target, and began their assault. The party responded quickly, sending Clara to the safety of the High Elves as they carved their way through the battle in a flurry of magic fire, axe swings, divine strikes, arrows, and backstabs. In the chaos, Gentel seems to have been kidnapped, as Zorn and Bilberry held the door. Together, our party dispatched the remaining assassins, painting the temple floor red, and once silence fell about them, the moon rising and the stars twinkling in the dark sky, all eyes are on Zsszr. So the sounds of battle end, and the last assassin falls to the stone floor of the temple, his curved blade falling from his hands with a great clattering noise which rings out about you. You see Zsszr standing in a shadowy corner.
Wait, didn't I roll a 31 on that stealth check?
Roll a perception to see Zsszr.
I must have got him.
Oh well.
Yeah, he'll step out and he'll drop a cure wounds on himself.
Okay.
As he does so for 15.
Nice.
Melee's still by the door,
Yes.
seeing if there's any sign of Chantel at all. Can I look around, see if there's
Yeah.
any obvious trail that they went off?
You can definitely throw a perception, yeah.
23.
So you see outside, just outside the temple, beyond the door, gathering about in the streets are many of the silver-clad, which are those elvish soldiers you've seen who generally wear gleaming silver armor, responding to the chaos and the noise, the fire and whatnot. And as they make their way on through, whatever tracks may have been left by the Ungoliac Sicklar that were also driven off by Zorn and Bilberry seem to have been muddled, and it would take perhaps an expert ranger to find her in that means. However,
Which would be her.
yeah, you
She
do
was
have
the
a suspicion that if you investigate town, yeah, right? She's the one that would... so probably some investigation in the near future could find a path, is what you're believing. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to find it in the mud here, you know. And back to Zsszr. The High Elves definitely seem to be gleaming at you, looking you up and down with great suspicion.
Goodness, why am I being treated so poorly in this city?
We have tried our best to treat you with our utmost generosity, Zsszr, speaks Baranor. But it seems trouble has come to our doorstep. And he gleams outside, looking at the silver-clad soldiers beginning to march and get in formation, and he goes, "This will not go unnoticed. What is the meaning of this? Do you know?"
I think they might have wanted Chantal. Where is she? They left me here. I think I was a distraction.
Why would they want Chantal? Alaire thinks for a moment. She goes, "Chantal, the ranger. Oh yes, we've had dealings in the past. When she came here seeking refuge from her exile in Tynethra, she explained to us her plight and her heritage. Her last name is Duskrin." And with that, you see Mosatrius and Baranor give a bit of a shudder, kind of step back, and they go, Alaire continues, she goes, "And so indeed, some secrets of the Ungoliacs may very well be hidden in her blood. But that one," she points towards a many times perforated with arrows and burnt assassin laying on the ground. She goes, "Called out your name, Zsszr.
It would be a good distraction.
Roll a deception check." Any of you can throw a... what is it? One that starts with an I.
Insight.
Thank you.
23.
11.
24.
Don't you have something where you can tell someone blind?
I have Zone of
Zone
Truth,
of
but
Truth.
I'm not using that
Yeah.
yet. So I got 7.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Zsszr seems very convincing in this, except Leander. You, especially given the way that he's addressed these gems and your sword and whatnot, you do believe that Zsszr doesn't mean for
Yeah.
trouble to happen,
Yeah.
but there is something more underneath the surface of this.
Yeah, I think Leander, probably standing next to Melee because we were going to go check on Chantal.
Yeah.
Honestly, she's not there. So while we were probably walking back, they were having this conversation, and yeah, hearing Zsszr say that, I think he kind of just glares at him, but he's not going to be like, "You're lying right now," but you can expect Leander to bring that up.
And in that moment, as you give that glare, you see Irina makes her way over to the side of Clara and looks her over quickly as Clara puts an arrow back in her quiver and puts her bow at her side. And Irina sees that Clara has gotten a cut along the upper right arm, and she gives a quick healing word, and the cut seals closed, and she seems to be fully healed. But she didn't leave that fight unscathed, so she got some XP there, at least. And Clara goes, "Now's not the time. This infighting, whatever business Zsszr has, and whatever these assassins have come to do, it's all against us, right? It has to be allied with some evil power." And Clara seems to be trying to come up with a justification, and Irina calms her down and goes, "These things will happen inevitably. There will always be some force out to find us." And you see a realization dawn on Clara's face in that she has been on the run for a long time, and even in finding you, that has not come to a stop.
Yeah, I don't, we're all being chased after, so by one person or another.
Those were wise words, Clara.
Let him come.
And at that moment, the silver-clad soldiers, responding to all the noise and commotion, surround the outer entrance of the temple. You see them get in formation melee. One officer with a gleaming helmet with horse hair. It's constructed of silver and bronze, which intertwines around the temples. Slowly steps between the pillars, peering over the carnage, meticulously and methodically. And he looks towards each of you with a suspicious gaze. And then, as he reaches the trio of high elves, his eyebrows raise when he looks upon Alaire, who wordlessly walks out of the temple and with a quick wave of her hand dismisses and silently commands all the soldiers to take leave. Just before she turns back for a moment as she reaches the exit of the temple and goes, "We'll see you at the council tomorrow." And then solemnly makes her way out. Most Adrius and Baranor turn towards you. "Your friend is missing. I suppose we should be on the search." And they begin gathering up acolytes who set out on the streets to look around. If you guys would like to ask around the streets or whatever for any sight of Jantel, that would be investigation.
Yes.
Great.
Melee is determined.
Are there any signs or anything for the Ungoliacs in town? Can Zsszr look for those?
Sure, yeah, you can investigate with the intention of that.
Okay. 21.
What did you get, Gilroy?
23.
Okay. No. Melee?
7.
13.
10. People were definitely here.
For sure.
And the vast majority of the acolytes don't seem to find any specific trail either. Zsszr, as you look around for some signal of where the Ungoliacs may hide, you know that these subterranean tunnels that make their way underneath the winding city streets and whatnot are a perfect place for them to gather, but there's no distinct way to find them or get in contact with them safely, you can definitely assume. So your search ends up not really pulling anything. However, Gilroy, you overhear that there was a group of shadowy figures who put a struggling bundle in the back of a wagon and started east and then curved south.
I believe I may have found our ranger, or at least her trail.
Great, let's go.
I agree.
Oh,
But don't we have an appointment tomorrow?
I don't care.
Baranor and Mosatrius, looking towards you, go, "We understand, but this is important. If we give up on any chance of getting our allies here in Elenvir, it's thousands against one."
Yeah, I don't know you, but I've fought with Jantel for months, and she has been one of our group's most faithful companions. So, Melee?
But the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Do
Zorn,
we all need to be at the council meeting?
Baranor and Mosatrius look towards you.
I'll gladly go as representative.
Anyone but you, Gilroy.
Baranor and
I'll
Mosatrius,
keep him out of trouble.
they look towards each other and then look
Rule us.
towards Erlon and Melee, and they go, "You have free reign of the country, of course, and we will give you aid if need be, but it is our council. Stay until at least tomorrow. It may be very unsafe out there to go alone. The Ungoliacs are strong in numbers these days.
I'm just gonna pick up my hand axe, throw it in the wall, like in anger, and leave it there.
Alright.
Well,
Zorn grumbles for a moment, as Bilberry also seems to be intent on going with you two. He immediately goes to your side and stands next to you, but Zorn puts his hand on Bilberry's shoulder and goes, "My friend, Gentel is as strong as a mighty oak, and the Ungoliacs, well, they need her for something. I'm doubtful any harm will come to her anytime soon. I'm just as ready to go on the hunt as you, but... well, the strength of Elenvir lies in Zumadia, and it is not something we should pass up so willingly. We'll head that way as soon as we get the chance."
my thoughts exactly.
And Mosatrius and some acolytes will escort those of you willing to leave this space for the moment to some back chambers in the Temple of Torm, where you are able to sleep very safely if need be, and you can get you a long rest in. If you choose not to sleep there, you totally can.
He ultimately mainly follows Leander.
Okay.
Despite, well, out of the immediate group, Chantel's the one mainly is closest.
Oh,
with.
yes.
She's another woman that isn't with Leander. Also an archer, and they've been close. So
Yeah, no doubt.
but she's follows the group.
All right. And you, Erlon?
I'm gonna sleep in the cart.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Hurston in the evening is tending to the horses as you go up to the stable where the cart is kept. And he looks towards you and he goes, "Rough evening?"
Gentel has been captured, and the council has persuaded us to stay against our best wishes.
Between you and me, Erlon, I'm ready to get out of this place. Roads are far too smooth, no challenge to it. And he hands you a drink and he goes, "You rest easy, friend."
I agree. These people also, they move too slow for my liking. And yeah, I take the drink.
Even for dwarves, he goes as he makes his way to a tavern across the road.
Right across the road from the Temple of Torm.
The stables are off of the plateau, not in the temple plateau. Yeah. Party time! So when you awake in the morning, those of you in the back of the Temple of Torm, you sense a notable tenseness throughout the group, of course. Hurston goes back to the wagon and readies it if need be. Bilberry is sharpening his daggers on the steps of the Temple of Torm. Zorn stays by a fire, reads his spellbook. Arena prays for guidance before a grand silver statue of the god of Torm himself, which greatly contrasts with a weaving golden dragon that goes underneath his muscular arms and intertwines beneath his back. Alsatrius and Baranor await you in the temple, willing to lend aid or counsel if need be. They also offer to bring you to the Seer's Pool, far beneath the temples, if you feel you could make use of such things.
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay, so you are escorted in the morning, underneath those of you who would like to come.
I'm gonna be there, yeah.
Okay, Jar?
No, Jar will probably be just trying to ply any local underworld elements for information.
Sure, absolutely. You roll investigation, then. We'll take care of that real quick.
19 plus 10. Yep, so 29.
So you find a young and sprightly high elf outside of the city walls. And he seems to be staying to a shadowy corner of the walls. He gestures towards you and shows that he has vials of what appear to be poison for sale. Definitely exactly the type of person you'd be seeking out for such information. And after some quick conversation, he understands your origins and your power and whatnot, and he goes, he tells you to the southeast, the Ungoliacs have been very busy. They're still in what they call Elenvir, but under the domain of the Count, it's a dreadful place. They they're searching for something. Another one of those mysteries left by that Dustburn fellow.
And, can Zsszr buy some poison while he's on it?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
You've got a D8 potency poison. It lasts for a minute. You can coat your daggers in it. It costs 250 gold. You got 3 vials of that stuff.
I hope I have 3.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It is. So, those of you who make your way to the Seers pool, everyone else, you are escorted through a winding tunnel that goes further and further down, and as you make your way into this kind of heavier, muskier air, you have the smell of sulfur and kind of propane. There's a strange gas about the air, and you do note that all torches are doused as you go lower and lower, and the only light comes from magic crystals, those that are maintained by clerics and priests and wizards who make their way down here. And when you make your way into the chamber of the Seers pool, it's a great many kind of geyser-like pools filled with a bubbling, rather multicolored liquid that many elves seem to sit around on their sides, propped up, gazing into with kind of a glossy look over their eyes. However, one figure is sitting in the corner surrounded by books. Nonagus Zane is studying down here, and as you approach Gilroy making your way in, he goes, Gilroy! Long time no see!
Nonagus, feeling rested?
Yes, no, my studies have gone quite well here. A good many interesting herbs throughout those mountains, but how have you been?
Oh, in other dimensions and fighting off assassins, you know. A life of an adventurer.
I'm glad I wasn't there. You were
Me too. Wouldn't want you getting hurt, Nonagus.
You pause for a moment and then, yes, are you going back home soon?
It sounds like potentially we're on the trail of the great city of Mythica.
You've got to be kidding me, Gilroy. That would just get you killed.
I used to think so.
Very well. When if you were to head out soon? When if? Perhaps, maybe I could join you, at least for that little stretch on the road. There's a few herbs I'm looking to pick up to the southeast of here, and enough errands on the way, and it's always been much safer with you. Sometimes.
Well, we have a meeting with the council, and...
Don't let me stop you on the big business and stuff. You know, I'm just a small cog in a big machine, but...
That's right. Hoping that goes well, and if it does, we'll probably be leaving post-haste, I imagine.
Excellent.
There may be a detour, though.
I'll keep watch for you by the gates.
Thank you.
That he packs up all his stuff as if he was seemingly done with his studies and just waiting for you guys to stumble across him and make his way back up the tunnels and outside of the Seers, the room of the Seers pool. And so, Baranorum will say through this gesture towards an empty pool, which can be used to have some farsight if there's anything you guys would like to see in particular.
What are you thinking?
I suppose Chantel's location.
It's not what I was thinking.
What were you thinking?
Davarius. That fat man. Sibelius.
You're the best contact we have.
It slipped my mind. Nonagus threw me.
No,
Yes, likely Sibelius. And if I'm really feeling up to it, the king himself. I'm not yet over the fact that he was able to spy on us. I think he might have tried to anyways.
We certainly have an indication, yeah.
I'm gonna look for Chantal.
I'm on Team Chantel.
Okay, so Leander, you kneel down next to the pool
Yeah.
and focus on and gazing into the pool, and you see its many colors intertwining like a strange liquid, and shapes and pictures begin to appear, silhouettes. And what you see is another valley that seemingly connects to the valley which is Alaire, with the great river that cuts west and east from the mountains that ring around it. You see, as you fly over the clouds for a quick moment, a great many fires to the northeast, as though a huge camp has been made. And then, for a moment, it shifts down to the north, or to the southeast, to this minor valley, which has a lake in the center, and a structure large enough to see from this height, must be very large, but the only notable one, and otherwise a good many ruins and toppled structures and whatnot in this space. It looks starkly dead by comparison to Alaire, which is very alive and pristine in nature and whatnot. This one looks like it's dying.
Right.
And as you peer, you zoom in on some caves that are further to the east that come off some of those mountains as they reach down on this valley. And then the vision breaks apart as if something had hit a wall.
So I think Leander, steps back from the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, seems like we're gonna have at least some traveling to do, but I think the Count's lands are probably the place to go.
Well, we don't know if that's the Count's lands, do we?
Well, it's up to the southeast, right?
Yeah, you know that that's the direction of his domain. Actually, you do. The rest of you
Yeah.
wouldn't in particular, yeah. So,
Okay, then
that land.
to the southeast, it seems.
Yeah,
We'll be drawing closer to Farnwell.
you would. The borders are just beyond that mountain.
My turn?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, this isn't like the...
Doesn't seem to have a limit, but it's also not necessarily as strong.
Right. Okay, yeah, I'll reach out to Sibelius.
Okay. And you see, like a kind of a... Now you realize it looks a lot like an oil painting by the time these things kind of form together, the strange blobs of different colored liquids and whatnot. However, it still functionally works, allowing you to see. And you do see a very large blob forms as Sibelius's head, essentially, as though you have popped up right on top of his desk. You can see that the waters closest to you are a wavering brown line, and then Sibelius's head, and he goes, "What is this?"
It's I, Gilroy!
Gilroy, how are you doing, my friend?
Just dropping it in!
Yes, I was doing some paperwork, metal transfers in Alaire, but what about you?
Always busy. We are in Sumedia, the Temple of Torm, and just checking in to say hello and letting you know that, well, the elves have not been as receptive as some of our past hosts.
Yes, I've always found them to be reluctant business partners, as they have a tendency to consider their investments 2 centuries in the future.
Yes, I can see how that's paying off for them.
Well, I did make contact with the other member of the Midnight Court who resides in those regions, Count Reshkara. And you, throw me an intelligence check real quick.
Well, I got a 12. And 22.
Reshkara, that is the master of necromancy from Malfarans.
Oh,
You would
sweet!
be, so, if you were to study necromancy, very much so illegal in Farnwell, you would have to leave and go to the estate of this powerful mage, apparently, Reshkara, who was head of necromancy studies. So he is directly correlated with Malfarans, but you had never seen him on school grounds, and you didn't commit to that path, so you never actually went to study with him. However, the name has been brought up quite a many times.
Sure.
Leander leans in over the The pool. No.
He, well, you'll see soon enough, but an interesting fellow and perhaps even more aligned with your interests than the elves of Elenvir, funnily enough.
Wonderful. Because they don't seem to be very aligned at all. So, great. I anticipate meeting him today at our
Yes.
time with the council.
Should be at the council, yeah.
Yeah.
And, before you go, Gilroy, River's End is clear of the influence of the Farinellians for now. Their subjugation of this part of the land is waning. However, there are a great many legions heading east. I fear your actions in Caradmoran have not gone ignored. There may be war sooner than not. We've sent what troops we can, but if you receive message, make your way back to Waterwheel, post haste. Its peoples may need your help.
We're at their beck and call.
Very good. You've always done well, Gilroy, and the rest of you. Continue on this path. It's been a treat to watch. And with that.
Sevelius is doing well.
Oh, I suppose that's good to hear.
Is there anything?
Better than him doing poorly, imagine. Now, one moment. And I would like to try and scry on Devarius Caldenin, the King of Kings.
Roll an Arcana check.
25.
Okay. So, you see a place that you've seen drawings of it in the Lease Gilroy, if you haven't passed by it. A place that you know well, mainly. You see Lancaster, which is, to you, Erlon, a filthy word, essentially. It's the spawn of evil comes from Lancaster. To you, Leander, yeah. To you, Leander, you have probably studied there at some point or another. Zsszr, you know of it as Metropolis, and it is a great ringed city, much like the spokes of a wheel that all head towards a central pillar that has a magnificent towered castle at the top, and multiple grand towers that come reaching up, and one which is toppled over, leaning on top of the castle, cracked and broken at its midpoint. And as you make your way into the castle, it's great many stained windows and a beautiful red carpet that makes its way down a huge set of marble stairs that go all the way until you reach the stairs that wind all the way down that huge pillar and to the city of Lancaster itself. However, that is the seat of Devarius Caldenin. As you make your way through the central double doors, you see a monstrous courtroom flooded with many lights from the sun reacting with these stained glass windows. A huge display of rainbow colors shatters across the floor, and sitting at the head of a huge throne that seems to be made of stone itself, the stone of the castle just bends naturally into a monstrous square throne before it, stairs leading down into this court. And there sits the king in this room seemingly alone, and he sits there with his hand on his head, leaning on his throne there. And as you float your way on up, his eyes open, and he peers. He's still wearing his armor, though it seems to be ceremonial. And as he looks for it, it's not the same armor you faced him in when you saw him in the dream state. And as he looks, he goes, "Gilroy?"
Tyrant.
You would call me that. I understand. You don't necessarily grasp our situation.
I grasp many things.
There's a slight smile. What do you want? Pestering me so.
Just checking in. How do you know? We're coming for you.
I'm waiting.
We're not far.
He peers towards you. Very good. Bring Clara, please. Go with that.
He's terrifying as ever.
You didn't let him know that one bit, did you, Gilroy?
Never.
Oh man.
Well, I suppose we should,
Does anyone else? Anyone else looking for any particular visions or?
I think I want to go through the meeting so we can go after Chantel.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah. And so, Mosatrius and Baranor, they leave for a moment as you have your visions and re-arrive as things begin to wrap up. And essentially offer, the council begins in an hour. Is there anything more you would like to do here in Sumedia? Anything more we can offer you?
no, I suppose not.
I'll go get my axe back.
Okay, and you make your way back up to the surface and retrieve your, much to the dismay of many elves around you. Masons need to be brought in now.
Yep.
Creating jobs. Sorry.
Yes. All right. Well, we can take care of it retroactively if anything pops up. Just as the sun begins to arc towards the ocean in the western sky, silver-clad soldiers gather you all up at once and escort you to the smooth tunnels that carve a path through the stone of the cliff and toward the central council chamber where you were first brought when you entered the city. Within the chamber, you find many stacking rows carved into the stone, which are filled with high elves, nearly 200 in total. All are dressed in a menagerie of colored robes that blend amongst each other, including some hues that you had not yet seen. Seems to be merchants, generals, diplomats, and of course many, many high priests, all of different temples. Silver-clad soldiers guard all the exits of the chambers as you are brought forth. You can see Mosatrius, Alaire, and Baranor, who stand most forward among the council, as well as Hiron Ovalos, the young elf who joined you during your adventures in Carid Morin, is sitting on one of the lower rows. One figure to the far right of the rows, sitting in a darker, shaded-out cove, wears black robes that obscure his face. You also note that one of the guards that you pass by, Leander, near the tunnel, one of the exits out of this space, is not a half-elf, nor an elf, but instead certainly a human paladin, bearing the white gauntlet of Torm. You recognize him as Brock the Flame. He peers towards the dark figure from underneath an ornate silver helmet, his hands twitching over a silver short sword much the same design as the one Mosatrius had gifted you, and strapped to his back is a warhammer that subtly emits a radiant energy. Wispy white light flows from its head to its hilt. The echoing noise of your footsteps that ring reverberated throughout the cavern goes silent as you stand once more in the middle of the great spotlight-like sunbeam that floods from the hole in the ceiling of this circular cavern. Baranor steps forth and all eyes turn up towards you. Baranor speaks. My friends, my family, thank you all for gathering here in the Chamber of Sorrows on my behalf once more. It has been nearly 50 years since our last meeting, and my heart is lifted to see your faces once again. Baranor's eyes are cast towards the floor for a moment as he goes silent, the beam of sun glinting off the moon crest marks in his eyes before he gestures towards the party. I'm sure you have many questions regarding my recent journeys, and I assure you there is more than enough time left to sit by the pools and ask through the night. However, a much more pressing matter stands before us, and he gestures in a great sweeping motion towards all of you. A young high elf priestess stands up. She's dressed in white and interrupts. She goes, yes! For the first time in nearly 1,200 years, blood has been spilt in our cherished temples. These strangers should take leave before more trouble befalls us. And there's a great murmuring beneath them. Mosatrius and Alaire make their way towards you. They're all, it's a moment, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think Leander's probably going to shout out, "Yes, and there will be more spilt in the coming years if you don't do something now."
Indeed, goes Baranor. He points towards the elf priestess and goes, "You speak out of turn, and unwisely. Or have you forgotten that I was there when the Ungoliac Sicalar first struck, and Diadar brought to us a terrible blow? There was chaos and fire and pain, yes, but Zumadia, like a phoenix, was reborn in beauty and order, the serenity that you have managed to enjoy your entire life. Do you realize what that force, or what force brought about that order? Not an army of spies and seers, not what the Silverclad have become, and certainly not a regiment of priests who speak bones to dust. Soldiers, people willing to do the right thing. Outside of this valley, a much deadlier force grows than our sworn duty. It is a farce compared to the forces of Varanwell. And there is a much greater murmuring. Many of these high elves turn towards each other, whispering each other's ears, and it seems to just ring and reverberate throughout this space, echoing in the back of your head. Another moment of pause, if you want to say. Leave it to that for now. A general wearing gray and brown robes stands slowly. My friend, Baranor, we have seen their regiments. Their numbers are far too great. No force mustered could possibly be enough. Zsszr speaks up, the high priestess of Tyr. She goes, "Well, Satrius and I know of their intentions, and they are honorable. Within a half year they could command legions drawing from every corner of Alaire, every kingdom, and not to mention the Azamar." Another high elf rings out, "And it will not be enough!" Clara looks towards the ground, the band in her head shedding a circular glow around the council.
Might as well give up now then. Right?
There's much more murmuring. And at length another elf man stands, a high priest of Eelmater dressed in red. And he goes, "Baranor, don't you suggest you don't realize the implications? We have received word from King Devarius of their arrival at the border 9 days ago." And Zorn goes, "How could we have?" And the elf presents a long scroll, the red mark of Farewell presented brightly. "It was his command that we take them in. However, there are 5 legions ready to the northeast, just beyond the mountains. They're prepared to burn our land if the High Council commits to their aid." Baranor cries out, "And they will attack! Satrius, Alaire, and I, we've already sworn to help any way we can, and by my authority as head of this council, I gathered us to do the same. Let us show the strength and nobility we were known for in the past, cast aside this oppression, and take up the sword in the name of freedom. Alaire begs it of you. This child..." Baranor looks towards Clara, tears in his eyes. "She needs you to be brave." There is much muttering and chatter. The room is quiet for some time. Hiron Overloss, in particular, seems terribly conflicted. However, just as he finds bravery and stands to speak up, another elder elf, a female, with a kind face, dressed in the green cloth of Corellon, stands and approaches Baranor. "You have been a wise counselor and a good leader to our people for many years, Baranor, as well as a close friend, and we cannot forget that. But we also cannot take the risk, and so, after the chaos at the temple last night, we took a vote, and ultimately removed your seat as head councilman." Many of the counselors, all those high elves, cast their gaze towards the floor, seemingly in shame. Bilberry, in that moment of silence, steps forward and he goes, "I'd expect no less! You're all treacherous snakes, you have no heart, no soul, you don't realize what's going on out there!" And in a flash, Zorn already is at his side with a hand on his shoulder, pulling him back. Female elf starts up once more and goes, gesturing towards the rest of you, the party at large. "You have done us a great kindness, but in all honesty, this council is more of a formality for Baranor's sake." And our path for you is already decided. You can leave in any direction you please, and you may cross through our borders safely and freely. However, you may not speak of your cause against the King of Farinwell to anyone, or our agreement may be reconsidered. Hiram steps forth. Throwing down a pin, he goes, "Then I relinquish my place in the council. I want nothing to do with this cowardice." Turning towards the party, he goes, "If you'll have me, I'd give my life for your cause."
That seems like a
Leander.
Leander thing.
Leander, you give him a nod.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, no, it really is a moment of bravery, and he's truly turning against his people in that moment. His hand at this side where his rapier is, and he stands next to you guys, essentially joining the party in that moment, even as all these counselors look down upon him. And it seems as though, with that, the council is vastly closed. There's still a great many who stay, talking and chattering. However, at length, they're dismissed. They begin to shuffle out of the tunnels. Mosatrius, Baranor, Salira, Hiron, the shadowy figure, and the human paladin, Brock the Flame, remain.
As we're basically walking out, right?
You can remain in there. It seems as though Baranor, Mosatrius, and Salira
Yeah.
are at least talking over what they may do for you.
Well, as most of the council is leaving, Leander, basically pacing back and forth, shouts, "What a shame! What a shame that Ellenveer will be marked down in history as people who have stood by and watched tyranny rule. What a shame. I expected more from the High Elves."
Or persuasion.
Good at that. Not a 10.
A few of them turn back, and you do see that their faces are shamed, but your words aren't enough to make them stop.
Can I jump on the bandwagon here?
Oh, heck yeah.
All
Yeah, you
right.
can give it a go.
So, and then I shout out too. They've already assailed Sarangar, burning our sacred trees and defiling our groves, cornering us and letting us fend against the orcs on our own. And we have thrown them out. And yet you stand here aside. Cast Baranor from your council, as he suffered for you for hundreds of years in a cage from a devil, no less.
Throw intimidation.
17.
About a dozen of them stop and turn back and go, "Baranor has always been kind to us. You're right. He sacrificed much in our name. And your people have suffered, and though there is a divide between us, we are cousins. For that we are pained. And a few, at least, hang near the exits and watch. Baranor, Mosatrius, and Salira keep count over them, noting who might be, able to ally with you, or willing to, in the least."
Suppose it's my turn.
Sure.
Gilroy, standing in the middle of the room, not particularly taking any action, but he spent the past couple minutes pumping himself up, knowing he needs to be the center of this for at least a moment. Hopefully get some of these guys on our side. He says, "We're your last best hope! I promise you that! I've seen many powerful beings subjugated by the cruel intentions of Farinwell. Many a colleague of mine came to the school post-torture, persecution, and emigration. And, well, there they found a home. Because somebody was willing to stand up. And if you want your people to find a home again, you're going to need to stand up."
For your persuasion.
11.
You look silly.
There's more murmuring between them, however, none make their way further into the room. And after a moment,
Good job, Gilbert.
at length, taking note and always having watched you, the shadowy figure makes his way down, his footsteps ringing out as his boots hit the ground. And when he reaches you, he stays right outside of the circle of sunlight that beams on down and unveils his hood, revealing the face of an androgynous elf with pale white hair that's very straight and red lips and red eyes. And he gives a slight bow. Oh, strangely, it seems like a kind of foreign gesture. And he goes, "Greetings. I've overheard your plight. My friend Sivelius has told me. But I must say I am touched. I, too, am free from the restraints of this council, and so the king's commands mean very little to me. And so I must know, what are your intentions for the future?"
Immediately?
Yes.
We have other places to be.
And which direction?
The southeast. We need to find the count.
You found? Oh, that he goes, Count Reshkara.
Master Reshkara.
To some.
To me.
Yes. I had sensed an intrusion on my domain just last night. Perhaps we should journey together. We'll be able to make use of each other's skills, I'm certain. And you'll find it much safer with me, especially in the night. And with that, he turns back and he goes, "I'll expect you around evening," and begins to make his way out the tunnels. Pushing on and past, and you see many of the colorfully robed elves step aside and seem to keep their distance from the Count as he walks slowly on past them. However, no hostility, and not necessarily fear either. The trio of high elves, Baranor, Mosatrius, and Salira, turn towards you, and they go, well, Mosatrius goes, "Your words were very brave. And you, Leander, you carry the heart of Torm. I can sense it. All of you, heroes worthy of song, and we know it. We three, at least. And those fools," he gestures towards those elves who clung to the exits, the tunnels that lead out. He goes, "Something in their heart tells them their current path is wrong. We intend to stay here and reveal that to them. We'll stay in contact, and if you're in Sumedia, the Temple of Torm is a safe place to stay. But this work may take some months. Eventually, the council, they will vote for a new headmaster. And when they do, greater decisions may be made. And hopefully, those decisions will align towards your endeavors."
It doesn't matter what decisions they make. Ultimately, Farewell isn't loyal to any country other than itself.
We know this. And yet they put so much faith in the signature of a king. What good has that ever done you, Melee?
Been on the other side of it. I've killed quite a few people who are in the same position as them, and we told them there's nothing else we can do, and we have other things to do than try to convince a bunch of people to set in their ways to see anything else.
We'll take that into consideration heavily. Perhaps there's only a few of these elves who will listen in the first place. But when you do march on Farewell, do not discount Elenvir or its peoples from your heart just yet. A struggle lies before us, but it will come to be. They know it. With a single gesture towards the rest of those elves, they all begin to make their way out, leaving you in that sunbeam. Rock the Flame, a large, broad man, many of his features hidden by his armor, makes his way next to you, and he goes, That would be the Count. I've been keeping an eye on him, and his means of infiltrating this council. But, well, you know the rules with vampires, don't you, Leander? He puts a hand on his shoulder as he walks on past. You only kill them in their home. And makes his way on up.
Well, it's the only way to make sure they stay killed.
And so, in the evening, you guys will reconvene with the rest of your group and set out on the trails towards southeast Sumedia and the domain of Count Rejkara. I think we'll cut to break here. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the episode. Certainly, quite a bit done.
Yeah.
Though the council, not quite as brave as some may expect. So we will see you after a 5-minute break. Anything to say, Teed?
Sure. If you're new to the stream, consider following us. We're going to do a giveaway from our comic and game shop, Freakopolis Geekery, at 250 followers. We're sitting at 218 right now, so
Woo.
got a little ways to go, but, you know.
Get there quick.
Yeah, the pool's still pretty small to get something cool. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to one channel a month. And we're doing pretty good on our 15 sub goal, so but we could use a few more to help us get there. So we'd love it if we were your free subscription this month. If you're on YouTube, we're sitting a little over 300 subscribers right now, and that's great. Love it. Thank you so much to all our subs. But we don't want to stop there. We want to keep going, so we encourage you to subscribe on YouTube as well.
Heck yeah. All right, cool. We'll see you after 5, guys.